This conference will now be recorded.
Chairman Rea, I think we have everybody on board.
Yes,
that we need.
all right, thank you. We're gonna start. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to the Public Information and Education Committee and Special Meeting of the Board of Directors for West Basin Municipal Water District, December 9th at 12:37. Call this committee meeting to order. Determination of quorum. We do have a quorum. Any public comment? Patrick?
Madam Chair, we have no public comments.
Okay, presentations,
We have none.
action calendar.
Today, we have nothing on the action calendar.
Okay, we'll go to item 6, information calendar. And Patrick, would you please indicate what the item is? Director Deere does not have an agenda. So I'll defer to you, Patrick.
Okay, so we are on, we have 3 information items, 6A, B, and C. The first item entitled the November Media Report and Communications Update is on packet page 3. And this is our normal monthly update that is given by our public information specialist to Matthew Vey and Deanne Blackman, our public information specialist 1. We'll cover the social media aspect, and the print media update will be covered by Matthew. So with that, I think Matthew, you go first.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, and by the way, just a note here, we have Director Desi Alvarez, who at the previous special board meeting was appointed as the alternate to this committee. So
great, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be taking the first part of the communications update. And if we could move to packet page 8, please. Great, thank you. So as you can see here, a couple of activities over the last month. A press release was issued on November 9th regarding the Sofi Stadium in Hollywood Park recycled water connection that occurred earlier this year. And then you also see here on our website, we posted a news article covering the 25 years of recycled water innovation at West Basin. This included the 10-minute video that was done earlier in the year that covered that as well. That was published to the website on November 12th. And then I also wanted to mention, we did issue a press release last week for the swearing in of directors Deere and Alvarez. So that went out last week, and we'll cover that in a little more detail in next month's PI committee meeting. And then one more thing I wanted to mention on this page was that West Basin was chosen as a finalist for the Huell Hauser Best in Blue Award that Aqua gives out at each fall annual conference. And so we were recognized at the Aqua Fall Conference for our Summer Splash virtual outreach program. We've been hoping to issue a press release on winning the award. However, unfortunately, that went to East Bay Municipal Utilities District. However, just being a finalist, I can say that that's still a very big win for the district. It's an extremely competitive awards process. And so, you know, just being there as one of the 5 or so finalists was big for the district. So I did want to bring that to your attention as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the next packet page 9. You'll just see a copy here of the SoFi Stadium press release that went out. We received a lot of great coverage over the last month following the press release, including in the Daily Breeze. So you should be able to see that in the media clips handout that was provided. We move on to packet page 10, and this was the 25 years recycled water news article that I mentioned. This was actually included earlier this week in Brown and Caldwell's Water News that went out on Monday, and that goes out to subscribers actually across the whole country. So probably got some good eyes on our program and also on that video specifically. Just real quick here on the next page, packet page 11, we've been making a lot of updates to the website in the last month. We added some new language to the banner up at the top saying that the board meetings are being recorded now. We also updated some of the banners at the bottom. These kind of tie into the two previous things that I talked about, the SoFi Stadium project, which links to a project page that's up and live now, and then also the video on the right that you'll see there. Go ahead and move to the next page, packet page 12. And the next few pages kind of give a number of the kind of a listing of the articles that have been written about West Basin. Some of the primary coverage this month, again, was the SoFi Stadium Recycled Water Project, as well as the District 3 and District 5 election news. And then also we continue to promote pretty heavily our water lab, our virtual outreach program. So a number of those events were published in some of the local papers as well. So we'll scroll down to packet page, see here, 16. And again, you'll see one of the articles on the left there about SoFi Stadium that ran on print. I think it was also on radio as well. And then on the right there, you'll see the article that was written about Chairwoman Gray's reelection to the MWD board. We'll move on to packet page 18. These are just some of the upcoming activities that the PI team will be worked on. By no means is it exhaustive, but just some of the things I wanted to highlight here. There's a lot of programs that are kicking off in the next month or two. January especially will be very busy for the PI team. We'll be supporting a lot of programs for the conservation and water resources team. Just one or two that I'll mention here. The high efficiency clothes washer rebates. These are the $500 rebates that we're currently marketing. So postcards will be going out to a number of different areas in our service area over the next probably 2 to 3 months. We're going to do several different drops. So those will be going out marketing and promoting the $500 rebate, and we're really hoping to get some good traction based on that marketing campaign. Also wanted to mention that a number of new classes will be added to our water lab program for both the coming winter and spring time. And so we will be looking at how to promote that, continue to promote that program over the holidays and then after the new year. And then the final thing I did want to mention is that you may or may not know about this project, but the district will be doing a cathodic protection outreach, or excuse me, construction project in the new year. And so Amy, our communications manager, will be leading a pretty big outreach effort on supporting that project and making sure everybody knows what's going on in the different communities where those projects will be taking place. So that concludes my prepared remarks, but I would be happy to take any questions if there are any at this time.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah, I think we have second. Where's Deanne? Hi, Deanne. Deanne's going to cover.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can cover our social media first, please, and direct us to the packet page.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chairwoman and members of the board and committee. Warm welcome to Director Alvarez. During my segment of the media report, I'll be covering the district's social media efforts this month, starting on packet page 20. Staff continues to keep track of the progress that we make with the district's social media efforts as we implement the social media strategic plan, and we're constantly evaluating ways to make enhancements to reach these goals. Moving to packet page 21, the district Twitter page earned 6,684 impressions and continues to see an increase in followers. The most popular post was a retweet of the city of Malibu, and encouraging Malibu residents to stay safe and follow local alerts on its red flag fire conditions back in October. Moving on to packet page 22. During this time period, the district Facebook page also saw a spike in impressions and clicks on the links we post. some social media paid posts. The most popular post was the promotion of the Water Lab virtual tour of the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility. And moving on to packet page 23. Similar to Facebook, the district Instagram page also saw an increase in impressions and followers, as well as engagement with our posts due to the cross-platform paid posts. And the most popular post was welcoming Sofi Stadium to the West Basin family as a new recycled water customer. Moving along to packet page 24. The district's LinkedIn page continues to see an increase in followers, as we've increased our following in the past month to a total of 870 followers, with the most popular post also being SoFi Stadium's welcome to the West Basin family as a new recycled water customer. And finally, on packet page 25, some social media highlights include a few posts with other organizations. The first one that you'll see on the left is the Stadium Business, which is a site that highlights news happening in stadiums around the world. They highlighted SoFi Stadium's recent connection to West Basin's recycled water system on LinkedIn. The second one that you see here is the Southern California Water Coalition, recognizing West Basin as a founding sponsor of its annual dinner. And the final one that you'll see here is that West Basin shared the Southern California Water Coalition's National Recycling Day campaign about recycled water in California. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Dan. Are there any questions, board members? All right, hearing none. Thank you very much, Deanne. Patrick, can you go on? I'm gonna have to get off in about 7 minutes, and Harold's gonna take over. Just let everyone know. So Patrick, the next item.
Okay, Madam Chair, the next item we have is item 6B in the information calendar. And as you know, we have several free water education programs, and Janelle is giving us going to give us an update on the various programs. That's Janelle Enkayan, our public information specialist. Hi, Janelle, there you are. Good to see you.
Patrick, do you hear me okay, Patrick?
Yeah, loud and clear, Janelle.
Perfect, thank you so much. And good afternoon, Chairwoman and members of the board and committee. I also want to welcome Director Alvarez to today's PI committee. So thank you. I will be covering agenda item 6B, which gives the board a quarterly update of our education programs. The presentation actually starts on page 88 of the packet, but let's move forward to page 89 for our report overview. And on the right, you can actually see a cute illustration from a school tour thank you note provided by a third grader from Amasoy Elementary School in Gardena. If you look closely, you can see that I'm holding a bacteria doll as one of our props, and Daryl is holding a tripod to live stream the technology at the water recycling facility. So going over our report overview, we'll give a brief recap of our career event, discuss the Solar Cup boat building competition, our Water is Life art contest and virtual field trips, as well as the new Drop in the Bucket program. So let's move on to page 90. Now, in October, West Basin and the Water Replenishment District teamed up to offer a virtual career day video series and panel. This free series culminated in a live panel on October 15th, where approximately 100 attendees had the opportunity to learn and ask questions about water industry careers. West Basin featured the lovely Uzi Daniel and Jason Kung, both from the operations department, and they both inspired students on how to enter the water industry through a variety of skill sets and education levels. On page 91, we have a more detailed participation summary to show how many attendees that were served through this program, including over 30 students from Lawndale High in Division 5. And on the next page, you can see a screenshot of a playlist from the district's YouTube page, where our pre-recorded videos and the actual panel event are available to view at any time. And to continue offering career and technical support to schools in our service area, teachers can still request a presentation that highlights water-related career paths for their students. And if there are no questions at this time, I'll be moving forward to the 2021 Solar Cup boat building competition.
Any questions, board members?
None.
All right, Janelle, you can go on. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to, we're now on page 93 of the agenda packet. And Solar Cup is run by Metropolitan Water District in partnership with their local agencies such as West Basin. So this program is intended to expose high school students to engineering, clean energy, and water concepts to help them gain a better understanding of the huge task it is to provide water to Southern California residents. And of course, to accommodate for the cancellation of last year's Solar Cup events, West Basin is going to re-sponsor the same 4 schools as last year. That includes Lawndale High, Lenox Academy, Miracosta High, and Palos Verdes Peninsula High. This will serve approximately 50 students in West Basin's service area. And please note, this is not a monetary sponsorship as it is every year, but instead we will just be providing support to teachers and students throughout the reimagined program. Met will be covering all the costs of this program. So moving on to the next page, packet page 94, Solar Cup will be a mix of online and hands-on activities that will be mailed and then graded by Met staff and their contractors. Teams can choose to participate in one of 2 categories, the minimum time commitment or a greater time commitment, and they'll compete against other teams in the same category they choose. So these challenges are meant to appeal to all students, but will still give them relevant engineering and alternative energy experience to make them a competitive candidate for their college applications and resumes. So the program is set to launch in January of next year. And if there are no questions at this time, I'll move on to our next program, which is the Water is Life. Okay.
Any questions? All right, Janelle, I think you can move on. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll be picking up again on page 95 to recognize the 3 students that were selected by Met to feature in their 2021 Regional Art Calendar. We have Skylar Erford from Manhattan Beach, Susan Cho from Palos Verdes Estates, and Allison Kim from Palos Verdes Peninsula. So these students, along with other students throughout Met's service area, will be recognized at a webinar celebration on Thursday, December 17th. Physical calendars will be available for distribution, and I will be working with the admin team to help share calendars to directors. Moving on to page 96, we are preparing for West Basin's local Water is Life Student Art Contest, which will feature a number of changes due to distance learning. These changes are meant to minimize the boundaries students may face when participating in our program, especially during this difficult time of distance learning. I also want to take a moment to recognize our 3 sponsors, the law offices of AMLO, WRD, and SWES. So again, our program changes include the elimination of free art supply distribution, which may resume in 2022. The switch to a standard computer size 8.5 by 11 submission paper, an additional option of submitting art submissions online via email, video resources to support students' creative strategies, and pre-recorded student recognition videos to share with the board of directors. We also have a working timeline for the implementation of this program, moving on to page 97. And the program is set to launch on January 11 and end on March 19. Directors and sponsors will be invited again to vote in late April through an online survey, and all winners will be selected before the May board meeting. So let me go ahead and move forward with the virtual field trips on page 98 of the agenda packet. And as of today, we've already served over 800 students from 36 virtual field trips, which are typically conducted 3 times per week. It features 1 staff member supporting from home and another staff member. Oops. All right, let me continue. So our field trips feature 1 staff member supporting from home and another one live streaming from our facility in El Segundo. We also continue our partnership with the Roundhouse Aquarium and connect students to the ocean animals in Santa Monica Bay that benefit from West Basin's water recycling efforts. So on your screen, you can see me showing, you can see some photos a teacher took of us from her view during a field trip, featuring me showing students our solar panels on top of our chlorination area, and Daryl using some at-home props to distinguish water recycling facilities from other facilities. On the next page, we have another thank you note that a student typed up. This one is from Brooklyn of Annalee Elementary School in Carson. She is a third grader, so I'm sure she meant that she appreciates water more from her field trip. So we continue to look forward to serving over 3,000 students before the end of the school year in June. So we'll conclude my presentation on page 100 to provide the board additional information for the Drop in the Bucket program that I discussed at the October committee. So again, page 100 of the agenda packet. So a Drop in the Bucket is a pilot program offered in partnership with the Wildwoods Foundation. This pilot aims to provide live interaction and teach students about their water resources. The photo showed is an activity that's part of the program where students guess the water footprint of common items. Teachers are now available to reserve programs on a limited basis with actual presentations beginning in January. Education staff plans to continue to regularly update the board regarding these programs as they continue to be implemented throughout the school year. So that concludes my presentation, and I am happy to take questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. I think Director Williams, you take over from here. Chairwoman Gray had to drop off.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any questions?
Nope.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have a comment and a question.
Okay, Director Houston.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Janelle, and great job on those field trips. I'm really glad to see how that's working out, and obviously it's resonating with the participants. And then the other question I did have on the Water is Life Student Art Contest, I do see it. You're gonna have a program announcement next month, but how is it that you are announcing that? I mean, it's obviously through the schools or whatever, but how are you guys announcing that to the schools in this virtual world right now?
Yes, we have seen a lot of success through email distributions, actually. So we are still working with our regular network of teachers, but it will be updated on our website as well as social media. And we'll be working with my coworker Matt, actually, who will help us with the promotion of the program announcement.
Okay, but I mean, I guess I want to understand that usually it's the schools, of course, that really drive the participation, and maybe there's some general outliers that participate because they see it somewhere. But I guess I'm getting back to, are we still working through the schools or certain teachers or certain classes or however to get this out? I'm just, obviously it's probably going to be a lot more difficult to get people to participate, but I'm just trying to figure out how you guys will be announcing that.
Yes, we are working directly with the teachers, actually. Another feature of our updated program is that we also offer virtual art lessons to teachers. So we've been talking to our close network of teachers, and we've actually received a lot of interest in that already. So again, working directly with the teachers who are going to be distributing the guidelines to their students.
Okay, great. Once all those materials are available, can you all forward them to me as you usually do, so then I can also kind of promote them and or send them out as well on my own? I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll get them forwarded to you, Director Houston.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Janelle, I think that concludes your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Director Williams, yeah, that brings us to our third and final item on the information calendar for the PI committee, which is item 6C, the conservation program update, to go over our various programs and what's the current status. We have our senior water policy and resources analyst Gus Mesa, and our water policy and resources analyst too, Jennifer Vasquez. I think Gus, you're going to lead it off for us, please.
Yes, thank you, Pat. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Good afternoon, Chairman Williams, committee and board members, and I would also like to welcome you, Director Alvarez. It's nice to see you, even though it's virtually. Maybe someday we'll see each other in person when things improve. So welcome.
Thank you.
I have a few brief updates on our water efficiency programs, and then I'll hand this over to Jennifer Vasquez for her updates. The first update is on our Change and Save program. which is shown on your board packet, page 102. It's under the program highlights section. Per the board's approval last month, staff amended the agreement with our consultant, Allegra Consulting, to continue offering this successful program to our communities through June of next year. Staff has held 2 recent planning meetings with Allegra Consulting and the South Bay Environmental Services Center to strategize on the relaunch of this program, which is scheduled to take place later in January. As part of the relaunch, we are also working with the South Bay Center to schedule a couple of Zoom virtual meetings with our cities, our water retailers, and other stakeholders to talk about the program, the relaunch of the Change and Save program, and to also answer questions and seek their assistance in promoting the program. We'll also be talking about our other virtual classes to our cities and water retailers so they can get that information out as well to the communities. We're very excited to relaunch this program, and I'll continue to keep the committee updated, and I can answer any questions now on this program.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, Gus.
Then, thank you. The next program is our Malibu Smart and Topanga Smart program, which is the next program on packet page 103. The Malibu and Topanga Smart program is currently being funded by a DWR IRWIMP Prop 84 grant that is set to expire on March 31st, 2021, so in a few months. The partners recently met to discuss the goals of the program and to also discuss extending the program. Due to COVID-19, DWR is currently asking the project proponents to see if they need extensions on their projects. We met and discussed this with the partners, and they would like to extend the program from March 31st through July 31st of 2021 to provide a few extra months for the program, and then wrapping the program up by September 30th, 2021. This program is 91% complete, so we feel that this extra time will help us to reach 100% completion of this project. At this time, I can take any questions on this program.
Any questions?
None.
Seeing none, go.
Okay, thank you, Director. My final program to cover is on our rain barrel program, which is shown on the current page, packet page 103. Due to COVID-19, staff had to redesign the program. So we created this new pilot program, which is a home delivery program, where before we would partner with schools and have them at their parking lot and give away the free rain barrels. So in order to protect staff and others, we're developing this new home delivery program, and we've secured the rain barrel vendor already, and we're currently in the process of securing the home delivery company or vendor that will help us deliver these to people's homes. We're currently working with the Public Information Department here and the South Bay Environmental Services Center. We'll be developing a flyer, an electronic flyer, and other social media pieces that we can use to promote the free home delivery program. At this time, I can take any questions on this program.
Yeah, Gus, now this is really a tremendous pivot from what we've been doing. So how are we going to keep our public service groups, I mean, not our public service groups, but the community-based organizations who normally help us with this program? How are we going to keep them engaged?
Yes, thank you, Director Williams. As mentioned, with COVID-19, we're doing everything we can right now to create a very safe, contactless program. That includes, at this time, not working with volunteer groups where there may be crowds of volunteers, where there could be an issue of exposure. But we are going to stay engaged, Director Williams, with them in terms of promoting the program. As I mentioned, we're going to be scheduling a couple of meetings, virtual meetings with the help of the South Bay Environmental Services Center. And we'll be inviting all the community groups that we've worked with in the past to be on that call, to ask them to also help get the word out to their friends and family. So in terms of safety right now and not being close to other groups or large groups, Director Williams, we're just trying to be safe. But when things improve, and hopefully I have a lot of hope for the vaccines this next year, and once we start conducting our program like we used to, I greatly look forward to working with the community groups again and getting their assistance and supporting them at that time. I hope I answered your question.
You did very good, and I'm, of course, elated that we're keeping safety first in mind. So this is really great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a question.
You go ahead.
Hi, Gus. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you too.
I do have a question on this program, I guess. Well, a few questions. So I guess we're in the midst of bidding for putting out the bid, some sort of service for them to deliver or hand deliver these rain barrels to people across our whole service area.
That is correct.
Okay, and when are we supposed to see the results of that?
The results of that, we're using the BidNet system, and so we'll come back to you with the next committee, Director Houston, with more information on who we selected to help us with that. So by mid-January, we should know, and then getting them under contract. We already have the rain barrel supplier under contract for the purchase of the rain barrels. Now it's just getting the local vendor, and we're going to be using the BidNet system to hire them on that. So our goal is still try to launch this program in January.
Mm-hmm.
We have been working on hiring a vendor over the last few weeks. We worked with Dave Scholl and the finance contracts group to reach out to local businesses. We did send out an initial RFP to them, but unfortunately none of them bid. We did contact them back. Some of the local delivery companies mentioned that they just are not set up for this type of program. They deliver small packages. They can't dedicate one person to be delivering rain barrels for 8 hours in a day. And so I've talked to our traditional conservation vendors over the last week, and they said they'd be very interested in applying for this. And so we're going to open this up. We tried really hard to work with local businesses on this program for the first round. But now we're going to use the BidNet system to hire somebody to help us with this program. So to answer your question, Director Houston, we have been working on trying to find a company or vendor to help us, but I am hopeful that several of these conservation vendors will apply.
Okay. I mean, I remember when y'all pitched this the first time, and I really, I'm not officially on this board or this committee, and I don't think I really opined. On the one hand, I think it's a valiant effort or thought. On the other hand, I'm not 100% sold on this, but it's a pilot program, so I just kind of let it go. But I will say, I assume we have it in budget, or when you guys get these bids, that's going to be something, on the cost that we had the money for it. But two is to just understand, I mean, to have, these people are going to have to go deliver house to house somewhere rain barrels. And by the way, there's paperwork involved, right? I mean, they got to go to the door and people have to sign some sort of paperwork like they would do when they came in person. And then last but not least, of course, people I don't know how they feel about people coming to their house or not, but I'm assuming you guys will work out all these logistics. It just seems like it seems like this is a very complicated program, as good intentioned as it may be.
question?
To answer your work is we're going to promote the program. Residents will be calling our marketing, the residents will be calling our marketing vendor, the South Bay Environmental Services Center. They'll be scheduling the deliveries by neighborhoods and cities. And then also they'll be providing that information to the delivery company. So there won't be any paperwork involved, Director Houston. Once the resident calls to register, the South Bay Center will provide them the date of when their rain barrel will be delivered. And then the delivery vendor that we have will deliver, drop it off, take a photo of it, and they'll leave, similar to an Amazon package delivery. So we've thought this through and trying to make this as safe as possible.
Oh, okay. So, you know, maybe my internet cut out. So when they apply, they take care of any paperwork virtually or up front, because normally they have to sign stuff. Remember that they have to show their driver's license or address, but you guys can do all this ahead of time.
That is correct, Director Houston.
Okay. I have no further questions. I certainly look forward to seeing what these bids come back. I just, you know, as good intention as it is, I think it's a really awkward and ambitious program. So I just don't know what I really think about it right now. So anyways, I just wait to see how you guys do from there. So thank you, Gus.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
DJ, you have a question? Comment?
No, thank you very much, Director Williams. And I just wanted to maybe add a little bit to Gus's comments to address Director Houston's concerns. I think we all shared the same concerns in the midst of the COVID pandemic. We had a group discussion as to how we could maintain this program despite the situation that we're all currently working through. And I wanted to credit both Gus and Jennifer for really working hard to put this together. And I just want to point out just a few pieces of information that maybe didn't come out yet. First and foremost, Director Houston, we have reduced the number of rain barrels that we would typically do. Typically, it would be 2,000 rain barrels over the course of 5 or 6 large-scale full-day events to distribute those. So we have reduced those. Secondly, Gus has taken it upon himself to really work with Metropolitan Water District to identify and actually get additional funds through Metropolitan Water District's member agency funds for conservation. So that'll actually drive down West Basin's investment as far as this program goes. And third, and I think it's because I shared some of the same concerns as Director Houston, the logistics is really going to drive this program. We need to plan accordingly. And so Gus, myself, as well as Jennifer have really worked together to identify some of the issues. We will have this delivery company kind of group the recipients of those. They'll be driven to the South Bay Environmental Services Center to do all of their paperwork beforehand. A lot of the signatures and paperwork that you saw at an event are usually a day of customers. So they haven't actually registered, but we're trying to help them out. Now everybody's gonna be pre-registered. We'll get to their homes and we'll group them. So you'll see a large kind of delivery in maybe Culver City on one specific day, whereas Malibu will be done on a separate day or an event. So we're gonna do our best to make this work. We have fewer rain barrels, but I've talked with Gus about this at length, and I feel very confident that the residents are going to appreciate these rain barrels and they're gonna be delivered without a problem. So I just wanna say that, and very good job, Gus, and Jennifer as well, team effort.
Okay, sure. Can I speak, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
By all means, I know you guys are working hard. You guys came up with this idea, I believe, to the board. The board didn't drive it. And then of course, COVID ended up at this point getting worse in the winter than better. So I know it's a major undertaking, and I know we're doing less rain barrels, so understood. And I guess my only last thing, so I think your idea is great to group them. Obviously logistics, you'll deal with that properly. Also knowing, of course, how far flung our district is. So somehow, how do you all try to make it equitable? I know that Chair Gray had brought that up when this was first discussed, of trying to be equitable throughout the 5 divisions. How are you trying to make sure that all 5 are getting about the same level of participation? I guess 200 barrels each or something?
Yes, thank you, Director Houston. We'll be working with all our communication channels, so the South Bay Environmental Services Center, to get the information out, our website, our social media. We'll be working with the cities, for example, City of Malibu, City of Culver City, providing them with flyers and electronic pieces as well to get information out. So our goal is to market this all throughout all of West Basin service area.
Okay, I guess what I'm also getting at though is somehow you're monitoring per division, and I'm not saying it has to be 100% to the T of 200 each or whatever, but you're trying to make sure that people in all the areas are participating. Do you guys kind of put a cap on one division while the other one fills up, or how do you try and fill these slots?
We'll be tracking the program, Director Houston, and reporting back to this committee on the numbers as we promote this program. We don't have a cap. As EJ mentioned, we've lowered the rain barrels down from 2,000 down to 1,000 rain barrels, and we'll be marketing throughout. And of course, if we do see the numbers being a little bit lower in certain areas, we'll definitely do more marketing or conduct more strategies as we go along. It is a pilot program, Director Houston, but we will be monitoring the numbers. We want to be as equitable as we can, of course.
Okay, great. You know, and at the end of the day, I will say that if this thing, when you guys just continue getting your RFPs or just doesn't look like it's going to work properly, I would consider just putting them at the plant and trying to have 1 or 2 big events that people register appropriately and come drive down and get the barrels. I'm not without hope that this could work, but it just seems very complicated, and I can only imagine a vendor trying to find, I mean, even to have a truck to put all these barrels in. I mean, how many barrels will fit in a truck or a flatbed truck, you know, whatever, to drive to these different communities and drop barrels off. So I'm just looking at this very realistically and saying best of luck, but it's separately, hey, if it doesn't pan out, then let's look at an alternative. And the worst case scenario is, you know, we could have just not done this at all in the midst of COVID. So maybe what we would do is just say, okay, we have a huge parking lot in both the Carson office and at the plant, where worst case scenario, if folks are really interested in getting those rain barrels, they're available. They can, you know, sign up and come down and do a somehow grab them, touchless, whatever. You know, please don't think that if this other thing doesn't work, we can't adjust because we've already gone this far. So that'd be my comments. And I do appreciate it, Gus. I know you guys worked so hard on this. I love the rain barrel program. It's just this year's obviously very complicated. So I'm very supportive. So thank you.
Great, thank you. We definitely will report back, Director Houston, to this committee on that RFP process, and we'll let you all know how it's going. Are there any more questions, or can I hand this over to Jennifer?
Any more? Okay, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, Gus. Let's hope we get some rain.
Yeah, it's staying pretty dry. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you so much, Gus, for the introduction. Good afternoon, Director Williams and members of the committee and board. Welcome, Director Alvarez. It's been shared across today's meeting. Very happy to see you join our PI committee. I will begin at the top of board packet page 104 with an update to the grass replacement rebate section. So staff has included the rebate application table on the top portion of that packet page 104. Please note that these totals actually do begin in the new fiscal year with applications received from July 1st, 2020. And so the application table does capture all applications as of Wednesday, November 18th. It was a little bit early in the month when I was preparing this application table, so I did want to update that actually a total of 5 applications were received in the month of November, and that will be reflected in the upcoming, in the next PI committee. As described on the memo packet as well, a total authorized amount of $100,000 has been included in the current fiscal year, and funding is being utilized to augment the Metropolitan rebate amount for both the residential and the CII sector on a first come, first served method. So this is with the respective application limits of 5,000 square feet for residential and 50,000 square feet for CII. I did want to just bring that up once again because one item that I wanted to talk about today was that funding was initially allocated at $50,000 for both the residential and the CII applications equally, for that total amount of $100,000. But due to the increased interest in the residential program, staff has actually shifted $25,000 of those that originally went to the CII funding to fund the need that we are seeing in the residential program. So we're actually doing so well with the residential program that we're having to see a need to shift some of those original funds from the commercial program over to residential. And so increased application activity is encouraging to see. We actually did see an additional $6,824 that was billed for the turf replacement projects in the month of November. So this brings our total amount paid out to $61,563. And right below the application table, we do see, I was able to include a summary of the Metropolitan conservation activity as updated in the November Water Planning and Stewardship Committee. So the total grass replacement budget allocated by Metropolitan to the regional program was actually set at $23 million, and that is that line item that you see for turf replacement. Activity does show the amounts that are paid, so you see the column that is paid. That one is in reference to applications that have been received and actually paid out. So just think of that as one that for residents that have received a check. And the committed funds are actually those that have received application approval, but approval to actually begin the construction, but have not yet been completed. So those are still waiting. They're in the 6-month process where residents actually receive approval to begin their project. So they're in the process of removing their grass and so on and designing their landscape. So that's what the committed funds are in reference to. Of course, as always, our team will continue to monitor the activity district-wide and collaborate with the PI department to promote this rebate into the new year. So moving into the grass replacement class section, right below on page 105, staff would like to update that Metropolitan will continue offering the 3 online class webinar topics that are actually listed on the board packet. And so additional dates are now available, as I mentioned in the last PI committee, for January 2021. However, no additional dates were added since our last committee meeting, but West Basin staff will continue to monitor any additional dates that come up for next year. We will, of course, continue promoting the classes as more become available for 2021. I will take a brief pause for any questions or concerns regarding anything grass replacement before I move on to cash for kitchens.
Any questions, staff? Excuse me, directors?
I have a question.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Jennifer, for the report. On this program, then, it's funded by the district to the total of $100,000 a year?
That's correct.
And to date, you've spent 60,000 of that, approximately 60,000 of that 100,000.
That's correct. Yes, the activity in the first 3 months, November, it did slow quite a bit, but the first 3 months of activity for grass replacement was quite large. We mentioned that this can be due to a lot of residents actually having time to complete these projects, because you do see the application table that I included within the board memo. Applications are coming in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will reach that completion. We do find that, there are some challenges that come up, but that is correct. The 61,000 that I mentioned, that is the total amount that has been paid out for that additional dollar that West Basin puts in for grass replacement.
So, and what's the average size of a project?
It can really depend. I've seen anywhere, there is the minimum of 250 square feet, and that usually typically covers the parkway area, which is that parkway strip of the area of land between the sidewalk and the street. So people can do just the parkway. It's hard to say, but the average that I've seen typically range, it's, roughly 2,000 square feet for applications that come in.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Anyone else? Okay, go on, you can go on.
Perfect, thank you so much. For the Cash for Kitchens program updates, they do begin at the bottom of board packet page 105. And so West Basin staff did collaborate with program partners Green Media Creations and the South Bay Cities Council of Governments to complete the following activities in November. We continued the planning efforts for a timely launch of the Cash for Kitchens portal. And again, this is an online portal that will be used to complete water efficiency surveys for restaurants. That estimated completion is set for the end of this month. And additional outreach and marketing materials were also completed and are in the final stages of review for those materials. Additionally, staff identified ways to continue promoting available device rebates through the Green Business Assist program that is led by the COG. One key component of this program are the grants which help fund the Cash for Kitchens program. Staff actually completed reporting periods in November for both the Department of Water Resources and the United States Bureau of Reclamation to bill for program costs accrued within the last months. And then lastly, for the Ocean Friendly Garden section, which is on page 106, West Basin and its contractor, Switzer Landscape, completed the maintenance visits in November. Staff will also introduce a training webinar series for current city and school staff managing and maintaining the 5 ocean-friendly gardens in mid-January. These training resources will be made available to all of the ocean-friendly garden staff in the service area to stay up to date on maintenance needs. Switzer Landscapes will cover topics including pruning schedules, irrigation system management, and plant identification. And that is my last update. I'm happy to take any questions you may have, and thank you so much.
Directors, any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jennifer, a question on this Cash for Kitchens. So obviously with all these restaurants closed right now and just all these delays, and I see in the write-up here, it says that we were in the process of developing new outreach and marketing materials. So how does the delay, I mean, restaurants are not open right now. This is the last thing obviously on their mind. How are you all looking into that and our vendor looking into that? I mean, basically this program pretty much should be on hold except for maybe the internal things you all are working on, but I just can't see any outreach at this moment.
Right, and yeah, most of our outreach is leaning, of course, on the online materials. However, we were hoping to send out a postcard to identify those sites that might still be doing the, to at least receive the notice that the online portal is available. However, we do expect a lot of those postcards to possibly come back. As you're mentioning, Director Houston, a lot of those sites might be closed. And so it is helping that Green Media Creations is planning ahead for that. They will, if they do receive that postcard back, they'll reach out to the restaurant directly to see if they are still open, whether they're still open only for takeout and might be interested in completing this survey at some other time, or whether they're just out of business. Unfortunately, we do realize that is a reality that we're living in currently. And so Green Media is very aware that they will be kind of navigating through this space of restaurants and everything that they're going through.
Okay, just remind me, this funding this is a grant.
That's correct, yes. For the two grants
funding, correct?
Yes, that's correct. That is 2 grants that were given by the United States Bureau of Reclamation and also the Department of Water Resources.
Okay, and when do those grants run out, or when are they supposed to be completed by? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yes, definitely. Those would be completed by June 30th, 2021.
Oh, okay. So I guess in the midst of all this, though, is that something you also be looking at, that we need to talk to them about extending these, et cetera? Because, I just think that this is the last thing on most people's minds right now, even if they're open for takeout. So I would be very cautious to do too much and get a whole bunch of return postcards or wasted a bunch of money and effort for nothing. And really almost being insensitive, I think, to the needs of these restaurants. So, I think that we really need to look at that, especially it's the holiday season already, but, people can't even eat out right now. What do you guys want to look at there? I just think you probably should be reaching out to see if we can extend this deadline. I'm sure it'd be very understandable. And maybe this program gets put on hiatus for a couple months until we know where things are at.
Yeah, I completely, I do have a comment about that regarding the time frame of when this will launch, which of course would be January. And so we are gauging to see what kind of activity we get within the first 2 months. I would not let it go any more past that until we identify whether this is something that is working for our restaurants, if there's interest in this. Additionally, usually for most of the granting agencies around the March-April timeframe, especially if the grant is ending in June, they would like to hear from us as far as where we are with our numbers. So that is the perfect time for us to know and identify any issues and possibly submit one more extension for this program if needed. I think it gives us a good amount of time as far as January, February timeframe to identify what exactly will happen with the activity in this program, and enough time to also submit any extensions that might be needed and start negotiating that with our granting agencies, similar to what we did this year. So it puts us in a good place to do that, and we would hope to see the activity that we're looking for, but understanding that we need to be flexible during this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Director Alvarez?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, then I see the EJ.
I again just want to, Director Houston's asking some great questions and point out some great things. And I wanted to point out that just last week I had a chance to be in a meeting for the California Restaurant Association, talking specifically the LA chapter. And one of the things that they're really talking about and really pushing is trying to look at the bright side of things. Unprecedented times, and this is a time to revamp and reconstruct. So a lot of restaurants are utilizing this downtime to look at their restaurants. So they're talking about new or updated POS systems and kitchen construction. And some of the great programs, and this program has evolved over time to try to find the right products that we wanted to offer, and of course the right products that our restaurants want. And so like a great example would be a dishwasher. So removing kind of the water wasting bins and utilizing a high efficiency washer at those restaurants. And so we're finding that some restaurants are looking at making the most of this time and exploring some of these options. And that's one of the things that Jennifer and our consultant are really doing a good job of, is just maintaining that presence so that restaurants that see this as an opportune time to maybe change some things up might be able to take advantage of the downtime. And we, of course, want to be very respectful. We know it's tough out there, especially for restaurants. This is the worst of times, I would say. But at the same time, if they can take advantage of this and we can save them sometimes hundreds of dollars on water efficiency measures, we want to be there. So again, great questions. You're bringing up a lot of great points, but I wanted to point out that Jennifer and her team are doing a pretty good job of keeping on top of this and maintaining it. And as Jennifer pointed out, we will come back to the board. We carefully track our key KPIs, our key performance indicators. And if we don't feel like we're going to be able to complete this by the grant termination date, we will extend this with our grant agency. So we'll maintain the grant. So wanted to assure you of that.
All right.
Okay, can I ask another question?
Sure, go ahead.
Now, I don't remember on this one. This one's across our whole service area, correct, EJ? It's equitable if I remember. Okay, because I know in the past we had it in certain areas or something, I think based on the grant, maybe a couple of years back. The other question though would be, I assume, or I would suggest for sure you reach out definitely to the chambers of commerce, because obviously they're very in tune right now with what's going on with their cities and their restaurants. And I see so much activity between all the different chambers right now talking about the issues the restaurants are confronting. So they would probably be good to just, reach out to them directly, talk to the executive director or what have you, and just let them know again about the program so that they can help tactfully reach out too, because I do understand for the ones who can afford it and are able, they are probably going to do some revamping. And then the other ones obviously are really truly struggling to stay in business. So it'll be interesting to see results you all get, and but maybe reach out to the chambers as well. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And I definitely will note that activity with the Chambers of Commerce. Great point, Director Houston. Thank you.
Yes, and don't forget that there are a lot of restaurants that they're not standalone, and they don't pay their water bill directly. So they pay to the landlord, so we have to treat them a little differently, look at them in a little different light. Okay, anything else?
No,
First item?
yeah, we have, that completes the information. Items. We have no closed session today. Brings us to director's comments, item number 8.
Director's comments. You don't have to.
I
Go
will.
ahead.
I'll jump in. I'll just go first. I just want to say thank you again, the staff. You guys are doing a great job in the midst of all of this. And I know you're really trying different ways to work around, so I appreciate it. And like I said I said earlier, was the virtual field trips and programs they just look so good, and I know we're getting a lot of recognition for that. So I'm glad that we pivoted so well. And I'm looking forward to however we get that art contest, try and keep the participation up. And again, we're navigating in a very new world. And so this agency is a public agency, but I think we've been handling it quite well. So anyway, thank you to all the staff out there. Of course, we don't get to see you in person, but these monthly meetings are very valuable. And I just want to say thanks and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Scott, for those kind words.
Okay, anyone else?
Nope.
Being none, I have none. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.